So the ARO EVO has a 26mm objective lens window instead of just 20mm, and the Holosun 515 and the popular SIG Romeo 5 and the Aimpoint Micro are only 1x20. So both of these, the ARO and the EVO version, are quite different. The EVO's window is quite large, like the Trijicon MRO, but it's not a tapered like that outward shape to make the field of view appear bigger. So, as far as mounting goes, Holosun has made the base thicker to fit the side-loading battery tray underneath. And if you're running like a Unity Fast 2.26-inch mount, the optic sits just a bit taller like this one in the video, and so there will be a slight offset with the magnifier. Your magnifier won't align perfectly with the Unity Tactical Fast mount, so you'll need to drop down to a ScalarWorks 1.57-inch Leap 01 mount to get a functional near that 193 height if that's what you want. So you need to be aware of this subtle problem before you buy this. The next thing I want to talk about is the SPR reticle. I believe it's Holosun's first ever BDC style reticle. You get a 1.5 MOA center dot for precision aim, and that's a 65 MOA circle for close quarters. And then there are these 3 tiny dots, and each one is about 1 MOA, and you can barely see them unless you get behind a magnifier. And here's the technical part. You might care if you like to shoot past 100 yards. Those BDC holdovers are calibrated for M193-556 ammunition at around 3,000 feet per second. It's not for 77 grain match ammo. If you're running that exact load, this reticle is pretty good. You've got holdovers built right into your optic. You don't have to do any math, and you just aim and shoot. And you do need a magnifier for this, and more on that later. But if you're not running M193 ammo, then those holdovers are useless. And let's say you're just doing anything within 15 yards. And yes, I would just switch it off to a single dot. The operation is the same as any other Holosun. Just hold the minus button to cycle through different modes. And people have said that the reticle looks busy at 1 power. And some people saw what they thought were broken lines in the sight picture on top of having astigmatism. The dot just looks too blurry. So this is where you have to use a magnifier, literally any 3x or 4x on the market. You don't have to get the Holosun ones if you don't want to. Like this Vortex 3x magnifier works just fine. And there are 6x1s you can get, like the SIG Juliet 6. Its only job is to bring you closer to the target and see better, and those lines are scaled when magnified. But the BDC can be turned off if you recycle through the modes, so it doesn't clutter up your field of view. Now let's talk about astigmatism. If you have astigmatism, you need vision correction because it's the nature of reflex sights, not a prism sight. Some people reported online saying that it's very crisp and very clear, but there's a pattern of complaints about reticle glare, wash, and haze running horizontally across the top. I personally don't find it distracting or noticeable. In fact, the Aimpoint Micro has way more tint, and people just turn a blind eye. And, well, it is what it is, and I wouldn't nitpick that kind of stuff that much, to be honest. Also, many people who have astigmatism will not see a clear dot anyway. And if the dot looks clear under a digital camera, but not with your own eyes, then it has to do with your poor vision. Like there is nothing you can do about it. So if you use this with a magnifier, just be sure to dial the diopter to focus. Okay, so solar failsafe is no stranger on most Holosun products. The ARO EVO has solar failsafe too, but the standard ARO doesn't. Your CR2032 battery is the primary power source, but there's a solar panel on top that acts as backup. So if your battery dies, the optic keeps running as long as there's light. This also enables auto mode. The optic reads ambient light and adjusts brightness automatically. If you don't shoot at night, this is useless. The practical benefit is so that you can run this optic hard and not worry about your battery dying at the worst possible moment. That peace of mind is worth something. The ARO uses aerospace-grade aluminum, but it's definitely not 70-75 grade aluminum. Many people have reported that the threads can easily strip if you over-tighten the mounting screws, and that's one of the biggest complaints for this optic. And it's not the screws that are failing, it's that the threads are too soft, and when they fail, you're done. Holosun offers a limited lifetime warranty, lifetime on the housing, and optics 10 years on the LED. The ARO uses a side-loading battery tray with 2 screws holding it in place, and you do need a tool to open it. As far as convenient goes, I like the SIG Romeo 5 because you don't need a tool. As far as turrets go, you can adjust this with a flat head screwdriver or a shell casing. The battery life is rated at 50,000 hours, and it's pretty standard nowadays, and it varies based on which brightness settings you use. Brightness settings are good but not great. The ARO EVO has 8 daylight settings and 4 night vision settings. That's 12 total. For normal use, this is plenty, and the standard ARO has 10 daylight and 2 night vision. Those extra NV settings matter if you're running night vision, but if you aren't using night vision, then you can ignore this part. So the top brightness setting isn't quite bright enough for extreme conditions, but if you're shooting in full desert sun, or if you are wearing sunglasses and the dot always looks dimmer even on max settings, you might wish you had 1 or 2 more clicks. This is a minor complaint, and most people won't notice. The buttons are dorsal mounted. 2 buttons are on the side, while the standard ARO has them on the top. Up for brighter, down for dimmer. It's simple, just like all other Holosun products. Now let's talk about the adjustment turrets. It's pretty standard, so here they are. Each click moves about a half MOA at roughly 100 meters, and you can use a cartridge case to adjust them, which means you don't need a specialized tool. And if you look at this N, compare it with the Aimpoint Micro, the Micro actually has this 2-pin cap to dial the turret. If you lose the cap with those 2 small extruded pins, you can't adjust the Aimpoint. Now let's talk about the mount. The mount that comes with the optic is 10 times better than what it used to be. It's a T-shaped mount that Holosun decided to go with, and it clears up your field of view. Honestly, it's pretty nice if you don't have other aftermarket mounts. And on the bottom, it has these 2 recoil lugs to help hold zero, and that big cross bolt takes up the whole width of a rail slot, and that helps so the optic doesn't slip during recoil. For night vision, unfortunately, I haven't tested it, and you might have to watch other night vision videos to see what they say. All I can say is that this is a huge quality jump for a budget optic, and you're getting 70 to 90% of the performance of top-tier optics for a fraction of the cost. Parallax is the apparent shift of the reticle relative to the target when you move your eye position. Less parallax means more forgiveness in your shooting position. The ARO EVO has minimal parallax. It's comparable to the old 403 series, which was already pretty good. This means you can shoot from awkward positions. This is one of those things you don't think about until you're shooting from behind cover or in a weird stance. Then you realize how much it matters. The ARO EVO weighs 4.3 ounces with the mount. That's heavier than the SCRS at 2.5 ounces, but lighter than the SIG Romeo 5 Gen 2 at 5.5 ounces. For most people, the weight difference between 4 ounces and 2.5 ounces isn't going to be noticeable on a rifle. So this has been out for a while, but are people actually buying this? The ARO EVO has an MSRP of around $250, but street prices are lower. You can find these for $200 to $220 on Amazon, and it's pretty much the same everywhere else. And for that price, you're getting a 26mm window, solar failsafe, a BDC reticle, and 50,000 hours of battery life. Compare that to an Aimpoint T2 at like $900 or more, or a Trijicon MRO that now in 2025 costs $700 in some places. The ARO EVO gives you most of the performance for a quarter of the price. Is it as bomb-proof as a T2? Probably not. The real question is reliability. Can this thing last? If you are not intentionally breaking it just to make an eye-catching video, then this is no different than the SIG Romeo 5. The SIG Romeo 5 has been a hot seller for a long time, and it simply just fits most people's budget, and the ARO is Holosun's offering. The ARO EVO has a lot going for it. Big window, which is the biggest selling point, at least for me. The solar failsafe is not a must-have since the battery already lasts more than your 4 years in college, and overall, it's a good optic for the range and home defense. Let's say you have 10 other spare guns that need optics without spending $900 for an aim point for every gun that you have. If you don't care for the 1x26mm window size, then the standard ARO is pretty much the same as the SIG Romeo 5, and if you want something slightly more durable, the 515GM is still a good option with 7075 T6 aluminum, which you can check out in this video.